There is no good excuse for cheating.
And she started gaining weight, and I started losing my affection.
For real?
Not one.
I was young, dumb, and full of eggs, and I was doing me.
But even still, people come up with the most ridiculous reasons for why they've been unfaithful to their partners.
It's like eating chicken every day. I wanted something else.
These are the worst, most absurd excuses cheaters have used to justify themselves on Paternity Court.
The Bible says be fruitful.
Gray versus Pierson. We all know I am a huge fan of the Bible thumpers,
The Bible says be fruitful.
especially the ones that operate in the spirit of do as I say, not as I do.
I'm a man. I know what it's like. We as men, we can be dogs.
I'm going to accept that into evidence as fact.
Enter Gray versus Pierson, a case where one witness joins forces with holiness and infidelity in a very bizarre, albeit creative way to explain why he won't stop filling the world.
I want kids. The Bible says be fruitful.
Mr. Theodore Pierson is refusing to accept that his girlfriend's 10-month-old child is his daughter.
Mr. Pierson, why do you doubt Kamaya is your child?
She slept with my cousin, Your Honor.
Mr. Pierson believes that the baby girl has been fathered by his very own cousin.
What?
Exactly what?
Understandably, he appears to be a little ticked off.
You know, I thought I could have more trust in my cousin.
What does the baby's mama, Miss Gray, have to say about all this?
Did you sleep with his cousin?
Yes, I did.
Like all of the other baddies in this series, Miss Gray makes no bones about it.
It was revengeful because he left me in North Carolina when I was pregnant.
She admits to all of the accusations.
I slept with his cousin several times too.
Theodore's cousin joins the courtroom via video.
Mr. Pierson, thank you for joining us today.
He says Miss Gray has kept to her story from day one.
She was like, she's pregnant, and I was like, well, do you know who it is? And she was like, it's your cousin Theo.
But he still has his doubts.
The time frame between when she had the baby and the time frame when I slept with her, it felt like it could have been mine.
Miss Gray says ain't no way, no how. She's sticking to her story.
Because I know who I slept with and I know when I got pregnant.
As the conversation heats up, Judge Lake has a few questions of her own.
How do you do that to your cousin? Now, you know he's on his way going to work.
Why not just find a girl that's not your cousin's girlfriend?
It sounds like you went over to play with DeMonte and then you ended up playing with his mother.
Exactly.
That's what I call the ultimate play date.
But hold on now.
I'm getting a light bulb.
Because Mr. Pierson had his own side piece that he was tending to.
So the bottom line is this is a three-way revenge.
Guess who Theodore Pierson left Miss Gray for?
You had sex with his ex, moved in with her, and had a baby with her.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The ex-girlfriend of the cousin who slept with Miss Gray.
It was just out of spite because I had such a strong bond with my ex.
When he was betrayed, he decided to take matters into his own hands.
When he went up there and had a baby by my ex, it just kind of broke me down.
Sounds to me like he wants a revenge baby, y'all.
I told him that he wasn't the father and he insisted to me that he was the father.
An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Or, in this case, pregnant.
I mean, I can take care of my kids.
The issue is you need to stop making them.
Theodore says it is his God-given right to be fruitful and multiply.
I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop.
You're not gonna stop making children?
I want kids. The Bible says be fruitful.
This is what happens when Bible interpretations go horribly wrong.
Don't start on the Bible with me.
Just go ahead, Theo, and leave out all of the other instructions that the authors noted for you.
Are you married?
Before you
Are you married? Okay, so the Bible also says get married.
Honestly, this case is all over the place.
Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
Let's get to it. In the case of cousin versus cousin,
The biological father is Theodore Pierson.
oof,
Can I see my daughter, Your Honor?
21 years old and 4 kids.
Now that you have all of these children, we gotta grow up.
Up next, Chappell versus Chappell. Here we have Rachel Chappell,
Miss Chappell, you're a married woman.
married and admitting to infidelity.
Now you say you have questions regarding your 5-month-old daughter's paternity.
Enter Rachel's husband, Jeffrey Chappell.
I need to find out if I'm the father or not.
Rachel says when she first met her husband, it was love at first sight.
Well, we met at a high school football game, and it was love at first sight.
Things progressed quickly.
We got engaged 4 months later.
But soon after, Rachel began to get bored.
I started getting bored with our sex life.
And missionary in the bedroom was no longer cutting it.
I kept telling him and telling him and
Y'all-
telling him.
hey,
I said
it
I
takes
wanted
two
to
people.
change it.
So she suggested they venture out a bit.
I'd be like, well, let's go get some handcuffs. Let's try something new. Let's change position.
But Mr. Chappell was not with it.
It's not
He
all
never
about
wanted
that.
to do that.
No, it's not all about that.
Yes, it is.
Rachel says his disposition, or lack of positions in this case, are what forced her to seek outside assistance.
It
When
takes
your
two.
wife tells you she's not happy like that,
I
you should
disagree.
want to listen to her.
And she says she found what she needed.
Found somebody that gave me what I needed sexually.
So much for loving, honoring, and cherishing our husband, huh?
I dropped my son off at the babysitter's. I would tell my husband I was going somewhere else.
Rachel then gives the court all the details.
We would meet up. We met in his driveway, the hotel. I mean, we had sex, and it was what I wanted sexually.
Girl, you didn't have to tell us all of that.
God gave me what I wanted. He wasn't scared to go in there and jerk my clothes off and say, I want you like this. I want somebody to take control over me like that.
Rachel's appetite must have still not been satiated.
You were sleeping with both men during the window of conception.
She was still getting it in with her husband during the same time she was being broken off on a regular.
I had sex with both of them on the same day at one point.
Who child?
Can't get any closer in proximity than that.
Next, we're introduced to Rachel's administrative gifts and talents.
So this is a calendar for the month of May.
We learn just how booked and busy this woman was.
So all of these dates are in close proximity.
In all of this, Rachel says she has no regrets.
I don't regret my daughter.
She does own her part,
I'm sorry that I messed up and I went and had sex with somebody else, but
blaming her cheating on her husband.
and I kept telling you I was unhappy and you didn't want to listen to me.
Exactly, that's the
And
magic
that's what
word, marriage.
got us where we're
supposed
at
to be
today.
married.
Rachel, that's not actually owning your part, hon.
Were you having protected sex with the
No,
gentleman?
It was always unprotected sex.
Now, how messed up for her husband.
Unprotected sex, you could have gave me something.
She decided against using protection.
I figured he would pull out, but he never did.
Rachel was banking on her lover.
And I would tell him constantly, I don't want to get pregnant, and he would never listen to me.
Fast forward, she decided to tell her husband the baby might not be his.
Whenever I told him I was pregnant and we had gotten into an argument, he said something to me, well, why don't you find somebody else? And I said, well, what if I have?
Even after hearing this heartbreak, he decides to support her throughout the entire pregnancy.
You go to doctor's visits.
And then Rachel had the audacity to invite the other man.
We tried to invite the other guy at first to
What?
the
I'm sorry.
He was okay with it at first.
Oh.
But,
Hold on. You invited your husband and the man you had an affair with to the doctor's appointments while you were pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
As Judge Lake and the entire courtroom sit in amazement, the final candle on this clown cake is lit.
I've even told his wife what was going on. I sent her a message on Facebook.
As Rachel reveals her lover is also married.
You all didn't say this other man was married.
Jeffrey says he doesn't know if he has it in him to keep going, if the baby is not his.
If she is mine, we'll just go home, throw a big old party. But if she ain't mine, I don't know if we can let this marriage carry on.
DNA results reveal.
Mr. Chappell, you are not her biological father.
Why'd you do this for?
Rachel's husband is now in tears, as any person would be.
I'm so sorry.
Rachel crying, Jeffrey crying. Mr. Chappell says he's going to push through.
I'm still going to be there for her.
What a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
That's exactly what this court wanted to hear.
Next case. Herman versus Houston. When Carice first met Mr. Houston, she had no idea she'd be caught up in a messy affair.
Mr. Houston was a liar. He was a cheater. He was also a womanizer.
They'd met at a nightclub, and she was very impressed by what he had to offer.
He was very charming and appealing.
A few shots of Patron and a shiny set of rims was all it took to reel her in.
Buying me shots of Patron. You know, that's an expensive drink. He also had a truck with rims on it.
He was out celebrating a wedding.
I had a homie that just got married.
But his real intentions were not so innocent.
I had plans on taking her home at the end of the day.
He convinced Miss Herman to join him, quote unquote, at his place.
I didn't take her to my home.
Oh.
But my buddy, he got married that day.
So it was his home because now he had a new home with his wife.
She agreed, and when she got there,
I'm looking under bed sheets. I want to see if there's some stilettos or some thongs under here. I want to make sure. I want to be sure.
she wanted to make sure he wasn't already committed.
I like to call this the investigadget stage. That's what I do. I investigate.
He appeared to pass the test.
When I went through all that stuff, there was no sign of no women or no children.
And things proceeded according to plans.
You never told her you were married, Mr.
Never
Houston?
has he ever even brought up the fact that he had children. 5.
Ms. Herman's investigatory skills that she brags about are a little lacking.
Anything I got going on before I met her wasn't her business.
The pair continue for over a month to get it in on the regular.
I had no intentions on getting her pregnant.
But you didn't use protection when you were sleeping with her.
No, you did not.
Did you tell
not.
her?
Don't lie. He did not use a condom, Your Honor.
If you have unprotected sex, you might create another life to contend with.
I don't like condoms. I'm allergic.
I guess they didn't get that memo.
Why do people keep saying they're allergic to latex but not allergic to sex?
It is soon after that Ms. Herman reveals she's pregnant.
I had told Mr. Houston that I was pregnant. He said that he would be there for me and my child.
Initially, Mr. Houston is on board.
After 2 doctor's appointments, he stopped showing up.
And she starts to get suspicious about it all.
So I got my investigation glasses on,
It didn't take her long after searching on the great and wonderful Facebook.
And I found out via Facebook that he has a wife and children.
Mr. Houston was very much already preoccupied.
It was just something that I didn't communicate with her.
He was just looking for a booty call.
She answered the phone at 2 a.m. like I expected. She was ready.
Ms. Herman was always on ready.
She always got it laid out.
Mr. Houston is eager to indulge us in the details of their affair.
She always had this one little silk thing that hang tight on her butt. Like if she do any kind of extra movement, that booty was showing, you know what I'm
He
saying?
says that despite having a wife, that marriage was on the way out.
See, the thing is this, we were already on the verge of going through a divorce.
It's the married man's mantra after he's gotten caught.
Don't let him lie to you. The answer is no.
Judge Lake pops his bubble real quick.
I think I'm ready to speak to Mr. Houston's wife.
Oh, no, she here?
Mrs. Houston, the now ex-wife, joins in on the conversation.
Hello, Miss Houston. Thank you for joining us today.
She says she discovered his dirty little secret via Facebook.
A message came in his phone. It said, when I have the baby, I want to move in with you, And I'm like, so somebody is pregnant by you?
And if you thought it stopped there, wait for it.
You're pregnant. I'm pregnant too, so.
She too was pregnant during this time.
I thought you said the marriage wasn't what you all both expected and you all were on your way to getting a divorce.
Mr. Houston says he's got a perfect explanation for all of this.
See, I'm in the business of making babies,
Yep, he's a businessman.
I have every reason to extend my bloodline.
And unfortunately, he is very serious.
When I was 10 years old, I lost my superhero, my father.
I mean, come on, friends. He's traumatized.
And once I seen my baby, it was really like a replacement because I could see all my dad's features.
He says he's innocent.
I never tried to make a baby with her.
It was never his intention to get her pregnant.
All my other kids, they were intentional. I did try to create this, you know what I'm trying to say?
Excuse me, sir. You have a whole side hustle going on over there. Mr. Houston's booming baby-making business.
Listen, if pregnancy required intention, a lot of us wouldn't be in this room right now.
After all that's said and done, Mr. Houston turns out to be
not the father.
Yes.
Oop. Well, now, look at here, look at here.
So you just did all this.
I don't want to hear nothing else you got to say.
It's
I'm
cool,
free.
Judge Lake asks a very important question.
Was there any other man?
I slept with somebody
I'm
prior.
tight right now.
Shocking.
The truth is you were already pregnant.
Ms. Herman was already pregnant when they met.
Do you know who your child's father is?
Yeah.
It ain't me.
Next case. Threlkeld versus Threlkeld.
Mrs. Threlkeld, you say you began exotic dancing to make extra money.
The Threlkelds are in court today with a marriage on the brink of divorce.
You're selling your body for money, hooker.
It seems while Mr. Threlkeld was out on the front lines,
I was overseas in Afghanistan.
serving the men and women of this country.
A soldier of mine came up to me and tapped me on the boot and said, hey, we need to talk right now.
His wife was also doing her part.
His wife and my wife were friends, and she had found out that she was actually stripping as we spoke.
Ms. Threlkeld made her way all over town,
There was reasons why I needed to.
seeking the comfort of multiple men,
The money that was coming in, let's just be real, it wasn't enough.
making no bones about it,
There are expenses when you have kids.
admitting to all of the accusations.
She has admitted to cheating multiple times.
Because her husband's military salary just wasn't cutting it.
She says she needed the funds to support her family.
Listen, Brittany girl, stop playing with us.
She was watching TV next to this one guy, and she started falling asleep, and next thing you know, he rolled over on her, and she thought it was me.
And just own the reality of it.
And had sex with him.
Mistaken identity.
She got a job for extra income.
You could have just said, I want to go get an extra job at the mall.
Miss Threlkeld got a gig as an exotic dancer.
Because I wanted to do what I want to do.
Ma'am.
I mean, how much money was the man making?
Overseas, I was making $4,000 to $5,000
Your Honor,
tax-free a month.
And where do y'all live, girl, that you needed that much extra income?
Living in a $400
It wasn't even
rent
that much.
room.
Brittany says they'd had one conversation about divorce.
In your mind, You thought your marriage was over?
Stuff as it may be.
Yes.
And it was fine for her.
Because you all had an argument about you stripping and you hung up.
It's pretty clear, ladies and gentlemen, Brittany doesn't give a pluck about how this looks, and more importantly, how her husband feels.
You wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
And why is it that you wanted to strip?
Because we got married too young.
Brittany Threlkeld likes to strip.
She wanted to be a hooker in training,
will
so
you
she
just
started
let
stripping.
me talk?
I don't even know why he's fawning over her. You need to make a quick trip over to that other courtroom and free Brittany and choose yourself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Fast forward, when Brittany's husband finally made it back from Afghanistan, Brittany showed up dressed down, honey.
When she picked
Yes,
me up,
I did.
she came dressed in her clear hooker shoes and this.
Hooker
That's
shoes.
one whole outfit?
I think that's a dress is what they call it.
Money, money, money.
She's in clear shoes with money still in them.
Brittany is about that life.
Hey, that was for decoration.
He then gets his hands on Brittany's phone.
So I snatched the phone from her and I started going through it.
Now, why do people do this?
And as I was looking through it, there was a number that she'd called like 13 times. So I called him right back.
Seek and you will find.
I said, who is this? Are you the one that's been my wife? He said, yes, I've been.
Knock, and the door will open.
Why would you have a boyfriend if you're married?
We were done.
You had papers?
You said it was over.
Because in a marriage...
It's called a divorce.
So let's bring this all together, ladies and gentlemen, because I am worn out at this point.
Your husband's overseas, serving his country.
Mr. Threlkeld comes home from the war.
When I was overseas and I found out about her stripping and her cheating, there was a few options that came across my head of how I should deal with it.
Comes home from the war.
Okay, I'll give you a 9-month break on me. I mean,
has makeup sex with his stripper wife.
We had sex like 4 or 5 times a day.
Hoping to get her pregnant.
Within 3 weeks of us being home, she was pregnant.
Thinking that another baby will deter her from her desire, need, and want to sleep with other men.
In your mind, if I get my wife pregnant, she'll stop stripping.
Roger.
Of course that isn't going to work.
Yeah, but apparently people still want me.
Enough of this saga. Let's get to it.
In the case of Threlkeld versus Threlkeld,
DNA results reveal that
Mr. Threlkeld, you are Liliana's father.
Ooh, thank you, Lord. Mr. Threlkeld says he's in it for life.
Looks like we're stuck with each other.
We will see.
Together, I'm happy because I know she's his, so I would like to work on everything.
On to the next one. It's the case of Reaves versus Silva. Jennifer contends that 7-month-old Legend is the biological son of Kermit.
Mr. Silva, you say there is absolutely no way you are the biological father of the plaintiff's son. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Having made his rounds over at Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Kermit is no stranger to the big screen.
You were involved in a paternity case on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta in support of your sister who took a DNA test to prove paternity of her child.
You may be familiar with his sister.
I drink champagne at home. That's what I do.
You will absolutely never find his sister in a maid outfit.
Can't help that I'm beautiful. Hey, maid. I see you got on your maid outfit like you always do.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Kermit's sister is the Jocelyn Hernandez.
He got filet mignon at home, and he wanted to go deal with hamburger help.
As for Kermit, he claims that there's no way he fathered Legend.
I just don't trust her, Your Honor. I feel like she's tricking me into believing that I'm Legend's father.
The couple were on and off for about 3 years before they got pregnant.
Every single time I turn around, it's always, oh, are you sure that he's my baby? Are you sure that he's my baby? Yes, I'm 100% sure.
Jennifer says she's never gone outside of their relationship to cheat on him.
All he wanted to do was cheat on me. I've been nothing but faithful to him since I first met him.
Kermit says his philosophy on love, relationships, and sex were clear at a young age.
I grew up loving women, loving sex.
You grew up loving sex.
Kermit says he believes men should be able to do basically whatever they want.
I always felt like it was okay for men to go out, have sex, cheat, come home to their family.
You aren't the only man that feels like that.
While the women folk need to stay home and tend to the house and kids.
Women can't go out, have sex, and come home, especially with a baby.
Kermit says God created men to rule over women.
God created men to conquer, to overrule.
What is up with all of these men throwing their inability on God?
Women cannot empower men.
What are we on, Game of Thrones?
After Judge Lake recovers from her trip to the medieval times, she asks the great and mighty King Kermit.
In the conquering and the ruling of man is the right to cheat, have other women outside the relationship, but women cannot, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're ridiculous.
Jennifer says she's always been faithful and that all of this suspicion is merely a projection of his own seed-sowing ventures.
So let's just say hypothetically, you're here to conquer. Hypothetically. Why can't you conquer your doubt and conquer your fear that she's also doing something that she says she's not doing.
King Kermit fumbles through his responses.
Your Honor, we were broken up for 4 weeks, Your Honor.
He says he caught Jennifer texting her ex behind his back.
I caught her texting her ex.
Is that why you broke up?
Yes, Your Honor. I caught them texting multiple times.
She claims they were just friends.
He never saw anything in my phone like, oh, let's hang out, oh, let's chill. It was always like, hey, how are you doing? Just checking in on you.
So they broke up.
Was broken up for about 3-4 weeks, a month.
And during their time of separation, Jennifer wasn't at home waiting on her man.
On her Snapchat, she's with men turning up, getting lit, drinking, smoking.
4 weeks later, she finds out she's pregnant.
To most men, that's gonna make him think she possibly is involved with somebody else.
She returns to the kingdom into the arms of King Kermit and breaks the news to him.
How do you expect me to believe that you've been gone for 3-4 weeks, then come back to me telling me you're pregnant?
Jennifer says she was 3 months pregnant by that point.
I was like 3 months pregnant when I found out.
And since she hadn't slept with anyone else, there was no other possibility.
Your window of conception would have been 2 months before that,
together.
while you were together.
Yes, ma'am.
In her defense, Jennifer was so used to being cheated on by Kermit that she didn't think her behavior was such a big deal.
Why do you keep asking me what I have to hide when every single time I turn around it's another female?
She says another woman reached out to her, claiming Kermit as her boyfriend.
Texting my phone like, your boyfriend is my boyfriend, that's our boyfriend. Like,
and look at the mighty King Kermit.
I see you have a smirk on your face.
He's proud of his behavior, ladies and gentlemen.
If she was out there doing whatever, then I'm out here doing whatever. You know, so I'm not no dummy. You're not gonna play me. You know what I mean?
Either way, Kermit's hoping for a positive test result.
Hoping that the results saying that I'm his father.
While also making it clear,
if he's not, then she gotta kick rocks. She gotta go.
Jennifer will be banished from his kingdom.
that hurts me like you've been around here for a long time. You know what I mean?
Oh, honey.
I love Jennifer. I mean.
So with or without Legend, we should still be together. It shouldn't be no kick rocks.
Nah, you kicking rocks.
I mean, I do hope Legend is his, but also
God created men to conquer, to overrule.
Do you really want this man raising your son?
He think he's all that. You're only famous by association.
He's shown her who he is.
You do not have to tolerate a man continuously cheating on you.
It'll be up to her to choose to create a different outcome for herself and her son.
I think the only way we can truly move forward is to get the results. Jerome?
For now, here we go, friends.
In the case of Reaves versus Silva.
Is the great and mighty, insecure and pouty King Kermit the father?
Mr. Silva, you are the father.
A happy ending.
You are the father.
That's all I needed to know, Your Honor.
And suddenly, King Kermit changes his tune.
I'm sorry. You know, I did have my doubt, but I know that he's my son. And I want us to move on in our relationship because I love you.
Aww.
I love you too.
Marsh versus Reid.
I have never heard of a man taking a woman on vacation to meet their wife.
Danielle Marsh and her mother are in court to set the record straight around the paternity of little Tamari.
Ms. Marsh, you and your mom have demanded the defendant, Mr. Reid, appear in court today because you say he denies your 1-year-old daughter, Tamari.
Danielle's ex-boyfriend, Torrance Reid, says Danielle is trying to trap him and doesn't believe that Tamari is his.
Mr. Reid, you claim that Ms. Marsh has confessed to you that you may not be Tamari's biological father, and you believe she's trying to trap you into a relationship with her.
The story of Danielle and Torrance begins when Danielle was fresh out of high school.
I had just turned 18.
And Torrance, he was 33 years old.
So you done come and got this young girl who all started dating?
No.
The two met in Ohio, but Torrance lived in California at the time.
Torrance wrote me on Facebook telling me that he was coming to be in a relationship with me.
Soon after, the pair hooked up, you know, a little horizontal love.
In your mind, was this a relationship? Or what?
She knew I was dating other women.
I never knew he was dating other women.
Danielle says she thought the two were in a committed, monogamous relationship.
You sold her a whole bunch of dreams.
I didn't sell her nothing.
Ah, but little did she know, big baller Torrance had bigger plans.
I'm a Muslim, so I was planning on having 4 wives.
Torrance wasn't just looking for any wife, ladies and gentlemen. He was looking for 4 wives.
He's a fake Muslim. He's a wannabe Muslim.
Torrance was surveying the landscape of several female candidates.
She already knew. I stay in California, I stay in Chicago, I stay in Ohio, in Cincinnati.
Torrance said he made that clear to Danielle, y'all.
Do you have companions in all these places?
Yes.
Danielle's bubble of love was quickly burst.
I didn't know nothing about him wanting 4 wives.
Up next, Torrance invited Danielle on a road trip.
On Torrance's birthday, he asked me to go on a trip.
She thought they'd be alone, so she agreed to go.
When we get to Missouri, 2 women pop up at the hotel room and he said, "This is my wife."
Torrance claimed he let Danielle know he was inviting her out on the trip to meet her potential sister wife.
So you get to Missouri married, and he says, let me introduce you to my wife?
But Torrance says everyone knew they were in the running to be a part of his big, happy family.
She was a prospect,
He's
just
a
like
prospect.
Danielle was.
Torrance tells Judge Lake all this stress Danielle caused ruined his birthday.
The reason I got upset is because her and the other person
We got
ruined
into
my
it.
birthday.
Meanwhile, Danielle's dreams were shattered.
He telling me he
I was
loved
telling
me
you.
and all kinds of stuff. He want to get
What's wrong?
married.
She'd believed all the lies.
Like, I've been knowing him since I was 18 and this really hurt.
And now, after 7 long years of dating, Danielle finally understands that their relationship was doomed.
So you've been running around with this, dealing with this for all these years?
No, Your Honor,
I didn't know it was like this.
Too little, too late.
It's your testimony. You informed her of
Yes,
your
it is.
desire.
Yes, it is.
Torrance was conducting a nationwide audition for his harem.
And then he want to go travel state to state to have different babies and find another wife, and he get these women involved.
Torrance defends himself by tossing it back on Danielle.
She's steady talking about what I'm doing, but she have numerous men.
I guess we'll find out.
I have the answers for you.
Let's get this show on the road.
I'm ready for him.
As the results are revealed,
Mr. Reid, you are not the father.
the courtroom was in shock.
So obviously, Ms. Marsh, there is someone else.
Oops.
Now I feel like the goofy. I done went through all this.
Danielle hadn't mentioned being with another man before.
I done flew all the way down here
Listen.
to look like a goofy.
Torrance is clearly not happy.
Now, Mr. Reid, you were perfectly fine when she was one of many. Now you got a problem because you was one of many.
Stick to securing one faithful wife and leave the auditions to American Idol, sir. If you liked this video, click here to watch our countdown of the saddest cases on Paternity Court. Until next time, make sure to subscribe to keep up to date with the strangest lists on the net. I'm Trei Taylor with The Strange List.